D1 to D9, which Portugal residence visa is the best fit for you? Hi guys, you're welcome back to the channel. My name is Mui Douglas, and on this space I share mostly informative content about my experiences and perspective as an African expat living in the EU. Today I'll be doing something a bit different from the norm. I have with me our Portuguese lawyer that facilitated our process of migrating from Malta to Portugal via the D8, the Portugal D8 residency visa, and she'll be answering some of the questions I've been getting in my DMs about immigrating to Portugal. So stay with me.
Hi guys, you're welcome back. Like I said, today we have a guest and she is our lawyer, Rafaela. She's gonna be telling us or answering most of the questions that you've asked on my DM. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself and then we can get right to it. Okay.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm a Portuguese attorney specialized in immigration law, European law, international law, relocating individuals and companies to Portugal or other EU countries. And we offer a range of residency programs, very interesting to get residency in Portugal. And of course, after 5 years of legal residence, it leads to the Portuguese passport, citizenship, and became an European citizen. So we have a different residency programs. So let me know for which one we start.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. Thank you, Rafaela. I have a couple of questions that I got via DM. So I'm just gonna read them and then you give your insights towards them. The first one is how long does it take from the start of the application process for a D8 to getting approval? I got this from someone who saw my video about our D8 residency visa. So how long do you think it takes on the average now, especially in 2025?
Exactly. Thank you so much for the very, very important question. Of course, my answer is not going to be like clear as water because this kind of processing time depends always on the consulate and how the client, the applicant, organize his personal documentation in order to have it done before the appointment date, right?
Yeah.
But let's say, as an average, by law, what the law says, it takes at least 19 working days to get the visa approval from the consulate, right? 19
Okay.
working days from the consulate. And then after the visa approval, once they have to travel to Portugal to convert the visa into a residency card, it takes again more, at least more 2 months to receive the residency card. So,
Okay.
as an average, let's say between 4 to 6 months.
Okay. Okay, that sounds about right. It's similar to our process. I think after we gathered our personal documentation, it took a little less than 90 days before we got our approval. Okay. The next question is what are the different stages in the application process?
Okay, so the first step of this process, it starts with the Portuguese taxpayer number. It calls NIF, right?
Okay.
After we have that sorted, that normally takes between 1 week. After that, we go to the second step, opening a bank account. Of course, this step depends on the citizenship of the applicant and also depends on the bank policy that is always changing due to international restrictions and all the political situation that we are facing in
Yeah.
2025, and namely because of the war, right? But I have good news for Nigerians. They are now accepting again opening bank accounts. Before it was not possible, but it always depends on the bank policy. At the moment, there are some restrictions for Syrians, for Iraqians, for Iranians, for Lebanese, for example. But Nigerians was out of the list, but it can be always added to the list. So they are always changing this. So that's why it's important to have an immigration expert attorney with you to assist you in what can be done or not done, right?
Yeah.
um, in case it's not possible to open a bank account, we can always show to the consulate the official communication from the bank department that mentioned that. And alternatively, we show them bank statements from the client from his home country or country of residency. um, we are talking about financial means that we have to demonstrate that the client can relocate himself to Portugal for all the accommodation costs and daily expenses, right?
Yeah.
For him and family members, if that is applicable, of course. And then after we have that sorted out, we go for the personal documentation, the criminal records, marriage certificates, birth certificates. Of course, everything depends case to case, and get it legalized. And then after that, we confirm the dates before the Portuguese consulate or the VFS, depending on which country they
Country.
are going to apply for. And then after that, we prepare all the forms, all the declarations, everything. And the client just have to print the documents that we are going to send them, add the original documents to the file, and go to the appointment before the consulate. After this appointment, they will take at least the
90
19
days.
working days by law, sometimes less, sometimes more. It depends on the
The consulate.
workload of the consulate, let's say. And then after this, we go for the final step, the residency card conversion. And this appointment before IMA, normally this appointment is automatically granted upon the visa approval,
Yeah.
but sometimes it happens that they give you the visa approval without the confirmation of the appointment date before IMA. And that's why it's also very important to have an attorney on your side that will chasing up and following up IMA to obtain you the appointment to convert your visa into a residency card. And then in that moment, we assist the clients in person in that appointment before IMA, and assisting in providing all the documentation that we need to convert into a residency card. And then from that moment, you're done and just need to wait for your
Okay.
residency card.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up the process. It's a very lengthy process, but that's
Yes.
the next question is it compulsory to have a rental in Portugal before the visa application? Yeah, some people said they
Yes, exactly. Also, very good point. What the law says, what the immigration law says, is all applicants needs to demonstrate they have a Portuguese accommodation. And what means Portuguese accommodation? We have like three types of what the law considers a Portuguese accommodation. Of
okay.
course, buying a property, but no one goes for this in the first moment of applying for a visa unless they really wants to invest in Portugal. They know the country. That's a different scenario, of course. Second option, having a valid rental agreement, valid for at least 1 year. Okay, so for the applicant and the family members altogether, just one lease agreement. Or alternatively, a term of responsibility like a sponsorship letter by a Portuguese citizen or by someone with a valid residency card that can sponsor those applicants in Portugal. But first of all, they have to show that they are like owners of a property in Portugal, okay? Or in case they are renting a place, in case they are renting the place, they need to make sure and contact the landlord if they can sublease to others, right? Because the consulate will check that. So if the person that is inviting someone is renting a place, that person always needs to attach his rental agreement to the term of responsibility so they can make sure it's fine
Oh,
to
okay.
sponsor them.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to, if in case they are owners of property, we have to attach the land certificate from the tax office in Portugal that clearly mention that that person is the owner of that property.
Oh, okay. So basically, you need to show proof of accommodation or something. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to do that
exactly.
as well. And the next question is: are there any other less expensive pathways other than the D8 or any pathways at all?
So of course we have D1 until D9. So
Oh,
D1, it's for work visa purposes, for everyone that have like a employment contract or a promise of employment contract, an invitation to work somewhere, like an email or something. It's enough to
okay,
apply for a work permit visa. Okay.
okay,
Then we have the D2, a startup visa. A startup visa necessarily means that you have to open a company in Portugal or register your activity as a freelancer, as an independent service provider. Okay, that's also possible.
okay,
Then we have the D3. The D3, it's called for high professionals, individuals, or for tech visa, but it necessarily depends on a company that needs to invite that high qualified person to work in Portugal, and they have to show that they have all the academic backgrounds to apply for this visa. Then we have the D4. a student visa, residency visa, of course, if they want to enroll in a university, master's degree, bachelor's degree program, they can do this. Okay.
Okay.
Then we have the D5, D6. It means D5, D6 means it's for family reunification. Okay, it's not a specific visa, it's just for family reunification. And
Okay.
then we have the D7, it's for passive income or retirement visa. And this visa is also a good alternative to the digital nomad. Why? Because they have to only to show that they receive the Portuguese minimum wage monthly, equal or above that amount. So in case you don't fulfill the legal requirements for the digital nomad visa, you can always go for the D7, right?
Okay.
Then the D8, the digital nomad visa that we already know. So
Yeah.
we have to work remotely for a company, or in case you're a business owner, you can also apply for this visa, but you need to show them that your current work as a CEO or director or whatever, it can be done remotely in any in any place in the world. And then the salary requirement that we are talking about, four times the Portuguese minimum
Minimum
wage,
wage.
that gives around 3,500 euros per
Yes.
month.
Yes.
Then we have the D9. D9 visa means the job seeker visa. This one is the most cheapest visa, let's say, in terms of legal requirement and everything. Okay.
Okay.
In this visa, the applicant needs to show in his bank account of the country of residence, the country of origin, three times the Portuguese minimum wage, so eight times the 870. Okay, that
Okay.
gives around, let's say, roughly 4,000 euros.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they have to be registered before EFP, means the public identity in Portugal government department, for everyone that are searching for a job, employment contract,
Okay.
everything. Of course, everything depends on the academic background and professional experience. So we will always need a resume, a curriculum. We provide that service as well to make your curriculum a bit more solid for this visa. Okay, we help you out. And then after this D1 until D9, we have also a different program. It's called Golden Visa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this golden visa is interesting because it necessarily depends on investing in Portugal. And then of course, after making the investment, you apply for the residency card. And after 5 years, you can get the Portuguese passport. Same for other the residency visas, but this is specific. Why? Because you don't need to be in Portugal. You can be out of Portugal all the time. In
Okay.
comparing to the other visas that we are talking, it's not like that, because you are holder of a digital nomad family
Yeah.
member process. But the golden visa is the only one that allows all applicants to spend at least 7 days per year. The rest of the time they can be in their home
Anywhere
countries,
else.
in other countries in the world. So it's very interesting depending on the goals and objectives of each client.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. This I've had so many visas I didn't even know were possible. Okay, we have about three more questions. So with the current minimum wage, what would a family of three require to move to Portugal via D8? I think we should just do the maths. I think
Yeah, so for the D8, right,
yeah,
digital nomad visa,
yeah,
the main applicant needs to show in his bank account at least the four times salary of the Portuguese minimum wage, like 3,500 per month. That
yeah,
is one requirement. And
yeah.
then there's a second requirement, financial means, okay? Because people sometimes they think they are all the
The
same
same.
requirement, but
It's
it's
not.
not. Salary is one thing, and then the financial means is another thing. So they have to demonstrate at least for one main applicant 10,000 euros, okay?
Okay.
And then we have to add half of that amount, so 5,000 for each family member adult above 18 years old,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
Then if we have a minor, it's half of the 5,000, so 200
Okay.
and
Oh,
2,500,
oh,
okay?
oh, okay.
So let's say we have a family of four, two adults, one main applicant, one spouse, and then two
Two kids.
minors, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
So it will be 20,000 euros
20,000. Ooh.
roughly, okay?
As
What I'm
financial means.
Yes, but this amount needs to be deposited in the Portuguese bank account, if
Okay.
possible, to open a Portuguese bank account. If
Okay.
not possible, they have to show that in the bank statement they have in their home countries.
Okay.
And then, of course, after the visa appointment, they do whatever they want with the funds. Okay, it's
Yes.
just important to show at the appointment date that those funds are there available. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Um, After your visa approval and you arrive in Portugal, what next?
Very good, very good. So, what next? Once you receive your residency card or before receiving the residency
I
card?
think it's before the residency card because it says after your visa approval. So
Ah,
and then you
okay.
you arrive in Portugal.
Okay. So, what next? You need to make sure you need to travel to Portugal before the expiration date of the visa,
Okay.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And attend and make sure that you have a confirmation date for your appointment before IMA to
Okay.
convert the visa into a residency card. So what I normally say to the clients is, okay, you got your visa approval, but wait, don't travel yet. Make sure you have everything with you, right?
Yeah.
And to avoid unnecessary cost and delays, because sometimes people wants to go to Portugal, but they don't have yet their house or rents sorted.
Yeah.
So it's very expensive to be in hotels and Airbnbs until they figure it out what is going to happen or not.
Sure.
So what we assist our client is, you only book your tickets to Portugal after we you have the confirmation date for your
IMA.
appointment before
Okay.
IMA.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That works. Thank you very much. And the final question here is how long does it take to naturalize in Portugal? I think you've answered that question again and
Yes.
again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the 5 years of legal residency, but then there's a very common question they normally ask me is,
Okay.
when starts the 5 years? When
Yes,
starts the
yes.
5 years? That's a very interesting question. So what was discussed by until 2023 was the 5 years starts counting from the date of issuance of the residency card.
Card.
But
Okay.
then there was multiple discussions in the government because IMA it's sometimes gets very difficult to respond positively to our requests, and there are some delays ongoing internally, and
Okay.
no one has the fault of that. And that for that reason, the government said, okay, the 5 years starts counting from the date of the residency card issuance, residency visa
Visa.
issuance.
Oh,
Okay.
the visa issuance. Oh, okay.
Exactly, because
Okay.
we are not talking about the Schengen visa, right? For
Yeah.
tourism purposes, we are talking about the visa
Yeah.
that was previously approved to convert the visa into a
Into a
residency
residence
card.
permit.
So
Yeah.
your intention of being a legal resident in Portugal starts from the visa. Okay.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. That actually does
Mhm.
make sense. So after 5 years, because like for the D8, for instance, now we get 2 years first, and then it's now renewed for
For
3 years.
three,
So
exactly.
that makes the 5 years complete. So what happens at the end of the 3 years?
Good question. Very good question. So, since the Portuguese citizenship application is not something that you go there and say, "Hey, I
Yeah,
have my 5 years. Give me the
exactly.
passport." They don't do that, right? So they also take some time to give you and grant you the passport. So,
Okay,
and we are talking about the processing time that goes up to 1 year, right?
okay,
And during that 1 year, you need to keep renewal your residency card to be a legal resident in
exactly.
Portugal, to not face some bad surprises in the borders, like,
Yes.
oh, I already applied for my Portuguese passport, so I can enter in Portugal the times I want. No, it's not like that. You
Oh,
need to
yeah.
have a legal residency card. So, and of course, once you have your Portuguese passport, you just keep you
Yeah.
put your residency card aside, and from that moment you are a Portuguese citizen.
Okay. So basically, you have to renew again while you're waiting for your passport process to be approved. Okay, that actually does
Exactly.
make sense.
Unless you want after 5 years, like for example, okay, now I finished my legal residence in Portugal for the passport. Now I want to go to a different country, I don't know, back to Nigeria or other country in the world. You can apply for the Portuguese passport, right?
Okay.
And then during the processing time, you can wait in your home country,
Oh,
whatever, okay? In
okay.
case you don't want to travel in the Schengen area or in Portugal, in case you just want to like rest, sit, chill, I don't know. But depends on the goals, because if we are talking about someone that really wants to be in Europe all the time,
Yeah,
yes, you
you
need to
need to.
renew your residency card.
Yeah.
If the goals here is like to get retired in a different country, I don't know, in that case, maybe it's not necessary to renew your residency card, and you
Yeah.
just wait for your
For your
passport.
passport.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very, very much. It was great having you here, and I've learned a thing or two.
Thank you so much.
I thought I knew a lot about Portugal immigration because of our process and how long it has taken. But at least
Hmm.
I've learned a couple of
Exactly.
things that I can actually respond to comments on the comment section of this post.
I'm
Thank,
happy to help. Thank you so much.
all right, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to having you here as often as possible.
All right. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
That's it, guys. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. If you have any questions about Portugal immigration as a whole, please let me know in the comment section, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and I will put you in touch with our lawyer, Rafaela. So until I come your way again in my next video, do have an amazing day. Bye bye.